Good? All right, we're going to get started. In compliance with the Public Meetings Law, I wish to state that on February 25th, 2016, notice of this workshop meeting of the Upper Township Committee was posted on the official Township Bulletin Board, mailed to the Cape May County Gazette, Atlantic City Press, the Ocean City Sentinel, Ledger, the Herald Times, and filed with the Township Clerk. Tonight's meeting is video recorded up until well, we have no closed session this evening, so this is just a workshop meeting that will take place. It will be available on UTTV Channel 97 on the Upper Township website. I hereby direct this announcement to be made a part of this, the minutes of this meeting. And you know what? We'll rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Joanne, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mr. Coggins?
Here.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Palumbo?
Yes. Okay, so this is our now, what, fourth workshop meeting?
Yes.
And we've made some progress along the way. We'd like to try and finish it up, at least to this point, so that it's at our first March meeting, we potentially will be able to at least introduce the budget.
Yeah, I think that should be.
The second March meeting to introduce.
Second March meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd, my goal is to see if we can wrap this up tonight.
Okay.
I think where we left off, we needed to get through the capital requests for the Public Works Department. Now, we had started out in the first iteration of the budget where the Public Works Department had been asking for $1,137,000 in capital. When we put out the spreadsheet to talk about our projected capital spending, the capital went to $1,393,000. That's a difference of $256,000. So let's start with, could you walk us through the difference in the $1,137,000 that was originally requested as capital and the $1,393,000?
I have to find an old sheet. The changes came about is when the committee asked to kind of project out all of the equipment, all of the facilities. So, some of the increased costs were, a lot of it was in facilities,
Okay.
not just equipment. We also, and I'll apologize, one of the pieces of equipment was supposed to come out because we increased the price of the skid steer. The initial price, the initial thing was $72,000, and that did bump up to $100,000. But we were supposed to take out the Kubota mini backhoe because I gave you some pictures of what the skid steer attachments, different. They have a lot of different attachments that you can use it, so it's multifunctional.
Right.
So that's what the original budget price for the skid steer was, the basic skid steer and the forks. But then we went back and looked at adding the dozer blade, a backhoe attachment, and a snow blower to add some additional functionality.
So we added $28K to the skid steer.
Correct.
Okay.
And then
now,
looking at taking away that Kubota backhoe, which was $45,000.
so, and we subtracted $45K.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a net difference of $17,000. All right, so there's still $239,000 additional.
If you look at the initial, we did increase the, if I did some revisions on the West Avenue bulkhead went from 110 to 125.
Okay, now the
And I'm looking at
What I'm
Now,
talking
that's
about,
not DPW's, so that's what I'm saying, we've
I'm
combined spreadsheets there, so there's different numbers coming in there.
well, the bulkhead component of this, we talked about under engineering. All right, so we've been down there and we've basically, kind of,
But that's included, if you look at the larger DPW, large spreadsheet,
right.
that's out of the 1,392,000 that is projected for 2016, that's included in that number.
Okay, so then then maybe my understanding needs to be this. What I assume we're talking about here tonight then is the rear load trash truck,
Yes,
okay? The Toro mower, the skid steer,
yes.
a service truck, the Kubota RTV, the grapple truck, the replacement body, the leaf vac, the F-250 pickup, air compressor, mowing tractor, capital improvements to the Public Works building, the Kubota backhoe, a spare automated side load truck, the cyberlock system, and $2,000 worth of hand tools. Okay, so that takes us to our original of $1,137,000. So with that, we're looking at changing the price of the skid steer to $100K. All right, the Kubota backhoe, we were going to remove. So that goes to 0. We had already talked about the trash truck. I do have that spec that I'll give to you. So that was, we had reduced that from 215 to 175. So that's $40,000 to the negative.
It's for the rear loader?
Yes.
But there's two rear loaders or actually what we, and I guess now that you've gone through that, what we've added in there is the mechanic utility truck at $50,000. Was looking at,
Well, all right, so we're,
The service truck, Paul?
yes.
It's in here at 40.
Excuse me?
it's in here at 40.
It's at 40 here.
Is that on? See, I don't have that one doesn't have, okay, that's on.
So
Line
that's-
4.
Is that the 250
Yeah.
pickup? F-250?
This one doesn't have truck number, so I'm looking at.
There's a service truck, and then there's an F-250 pickup on this list.
Okay. It does not include the construction office's pickup truck for 25.
All right, so we're adding then 25 to the list of items that we just talked about.
Yes.
Okay, so we're talking about a construction office pickup.
So we're adding another truck, you're saying, John,
For the construction office.
for construction office?
And that's 25K?
Then I'm noticing. We looked at needing one additional dump truck, number 9.
Okay, now, the additional dump truck, is that replacement or is that new?
It's replacing it with a new truck,
It's replacing an existing truck
correct,
with a new truck, so it's
Correct.
replacement capital for a dump truck.
yes,
And what are you talking about there?
135. And that's replacing a 1997 truck.
Okay,
And then, because of the, when we re-examined the current rear loader fleet that's used to pick up commercial recycling, compost, leaves in the fall, leaves in April, as well as bulk trash.
okay,
We have 5 now. 3 of them are barely serviceable, that they'll be lucky to make it through their loose leaf collection in April.
Right.
So that leaves us essentially 2 line rear loaders to do both commercial recycling during the summertime, helping out with bulk, and then picking up compost during the year. And that would leave us that 1 truck potentially for loose leaves. come fall.
Well, you're, okay, so are you saying now that instead of 1 rear loader, you want 2?
We're gonna need to.
So that's another 175.
This is going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, it really is,
Yeah.
because here's what I'm seeing. You know, what we've done here is, we started out on the first iteration of this, we were 1,137,000. So we've now added, we've added 363, and then we've removed 90. So that 256 that we had originally talked about is now up to 273, over and above what the original requests were for.
I mean, we were discussing it this afternoon. I mean, we could, you know, the rear loader is more important. We could forego that extra, replacing the mowing tractor that we discussed, and push it out 1 or 2 years possibly.
But Paul, you're talking, you're swapping a $23,000 item for $175,000 additional item.
That's if we could get another one for 175.
But I mean,
I mean, you know, it's not, listen, I understand that we're trying to have the equipment that we need to get things accomplished, but it's not a Christmas tree. I mean, it's not, you know, we have other departments that have requests for things too, and, you know, we're trying to be not only frugal, but also realistic on things that we can, you know, allocate and funding, you know, whatever comes through a bond or whatever, but we're going the wrong direction here.
then the residents will have to be very cognizant that they can't call the Public Works Department the second week in December saying, why aren't my leaves picked up then?
Well, that needs to be determined. That's
And
not your
that's-
call. That's a call that the committee will work to move forward with, to figure out a way of establishing. But that's not a comment that's even appropriate at this point.
Well, I mean, if we don't have the equipment to pick it up, because, you know, we'll have the leaf backs, but the problem is the leaf backs take longer to pick it up. You know, so if we don't have the rear loader fleet to be able to load the volume of leaves in that month and a half to supplement the leaf back, it's just gonna take us longer. It'll take us into mid-January, towards the end of January, to complete loose leaves. I mean, it's not that we won't and can't do it, it's just gonna take us longer to do it.
Well,
Have we-
I think, you know, one of the things we gotta look at here too is, you know, we need to kind of start looking at this, you know, on an item-by-item basis. One of the things that we have in the original budget was a leaf vac for $41,000. Now, I don't know if that was another 10-yard leaf vac, or if maybe that was a 20 or a 25 yard. That was a 20? Okay, so what, you know, getting a 20 would obviously be the prudent thing to do, because you're cutting down on your landfill trips and you're, you know, increasing your productive time on the street. I'm not sure, you know, taking a few steps back, prior to the new system coming in for collecting trash, the township was running 7 rear loaders. Okay? The goal was to increase the efficiency and get some of these rear loaders off the street. So we now have 5 rear loaders, one of them's brand new. we have 3 ASL trucks. Okay, so now we've taken 3 trucks which are more efficient than a rear loader in terms of the rate that they can pick up material on the street. We've only cut 2 of the rear loaders from our fleet, and we're also in this budget looking to get a 4th ASL truck. So essentially, we're talking about going from 7 single axle rear load trucks to 4 tandem axle ASLs, 1 tandem axle rear loader, and 4 more single axle rear loaders.
No, I'm sorry, but on the revised projected sheet, we moved that spare ASL truck out a couple of years.
Okay, I didn't see that hit, so we're going to remove the spare ASL truck.
In order to get those rear loaders.
Okay, so that brings us down to a net difference to the positive, which is again going the wrong way on the bond here of $163,000. So what that's looking at doing, you know, where we are now based on this conversation is removing the Kubota at 45K. Where did we drop by 40? There was something you dropped by 40, Paul. Oh, we took 40 out of the original rear load trash truck. All right.
But we also added another $175,000
We've
to
added
that.
Skid steer.
We've added $175. We added 28 to the skid steer. We added 25,000 for a construction official's vehicle,
$135,000 for a dump
for a
truck.
dump truck, and 175,000 for a second rear load trash truck, for a total of 363.
And we're taking off the 260 for the spare ASL?
Correct.
So that one's coming off. Small hand tools, we taking that off?
Yeah, I
Come out of operation?
That's not
I
included.
mean, even though it's only,
Yeah, that
it's
needs to-
$2,000, I mean, that comes out of operation.
That shouldn't be capitalized.
So that
That
should
should
come
be
out.
just in the, find that in the A&E.
Now, what about the, you were talking about
Reality.
was it the tractor you said that could potentially be put off for a year or two?
That, the mowing tractor, yes. I mean, you know, we have the compressor on there for 21,000. You know, currently we use the county's compressor and borrow it. You know, I mean, it's an inconvenience to go and do it, but we can continue,
Why
it's
can't
a
we-
matter of flexibility and, you know, having it when you need it, or as opposed to calling up, oh, they're using it, so we have to put off what we're doing, but, you know, that's 21,000 we can move to a future year.
Yeah, that, and the other thing is too, if it's mission critical, it has to be done at a certain time. I mean, you could always rent one, which would be considerably less for a one-shot deal there.
Now, which tractor are you saying to?
The
But you have two
23,000.
23,000, the mowing, for the athletic fields or the roadside?
Roadside.
Mowing tractor.
I mean, that brings us down to $1,094,000. I'm just using the new projection sheet.
So here, we're at 389.
We're down to $1,094,000.
minus-
Yeah. I'm confused. I want to make sure I
I've
understand
lost
this.
track of these figures
Because
now.
we added 363, we minus 260, and that would leave a $103,000 balance. Now we just took off,
Well, where we are, Rich, is we were two something to the positive. We pulled 389 out. We added 363 in. So where we should be would be, let's see, this goes to 350.
I mean, I'm at $1.084 using, if you're using the projected sheets that Public Works, which was requested to supply to you guys, that's what the sheets I'm using.
I'm at 1,069,000. All right, and that's inclusive of two secondhand rear load trucks, a Toro mower, a skid steer that we've actually increased the value of based on buying some additional accessories for it, and that's a pretty smart move. That includes a service truck, that includes a 24,000 Kubota RTV, a grapple truck, a replacement body for truck 18, a leaf vac, an F-250 pickup, the cyber lock system, capital improvements to the Public Works building of 40,000, pickup for the construction office, and a dump truck at 135K. So, you know, my initial reaction to this whole thing, looking at those pieces of equipment, the next things that I would take a real hard look at is there's 229,000 in here for a Kubota RTV and a grapple truck. I would take a real good hard look at pulling that grapple truck out of there. And as far as the RTV,
I mean, that, if we needed to move that for another year or two, that's a supplemental vehicle just to
Let me ask you a
increase our
question. The
effectiveness.
skid steer you get, is that gonna be a track or a rubber tire?
Track.
Right. One of the reasons we're looking at, I was looking at the smaller Kubota. I know, that's a rubber tire here.
Yeah, that picture is more to show representation
Yeah.
of the attachments.
Part of the problem we have right now, we have hardly nothing out there, light enough to go on the infields and stuff and maintenance of the fields out on all the ball fields. So if we're going to a track machine, you can't put them on that infield without tearing it up. It's not gonna
I mean,
happen.
that wasn't for the maintenance of.
I know.
well, no, it wasn't, but one of the
If
things.
we're gonna take away the Kubota backhoe,
Right.
which I didn't want a big backhoe. I'd rather have a smaller bucket machine that we can get out onto the field with turf tires and get in between the dugouts and the buildings and maintain them than the RTV. But that skid steer, if we do away with the backhoe, again, I was looking at front end loader, we're down to having everything with big knobby tires that's oversized to get on these fields.
How are you gonna get the goals out for soccer?
What was that?
How are you gonna put the goals out for soccer with this little machine?
Well, we still have our backhoe out there.
Right, you still gotta have the field.
The backhoe can't, most of the soccer balls can't, the backhoe can't handle.
Well, again, I was looking like at a 39 size, which is big enough to take those soccer goals up, not a B21 or something.
You cannot go high enough, that's the problem. You cannot get that backhoe bucket on the small one high enough to take them soccer goals across the field without them dragging and tearing the field
On
up.
a 39?
39,
Yeah. Or a 35 or a 39, that's the size of the Kubota.
I don't, that's smaller than what we're using now. Doesn't go high enough. That's the problem with soccer goals, 33, 30 that we use right now, gets them up just high enough to get them across the field. And that's the lightest piece of equipment we have in those soccer goals. You go to that Kubota, it's not a replacement backhoe that uses about $8,000 to take soccer goals across the field.
The skid steer is gonna be way more,
I
for what we need to do.
I know, I'm just looking again, as far as getting on the fields. If we have to do maintenance on the warning tracks, do maintenance, we have nothing out there to use. Unless you get the RTV with the
The
dump
skid,
box.
the skid steer will be more effective in working with the backhoe, which we've been using.
You're not gonna move those goalposts with the skid steer either.
We don't need to do the goalposts, we already have a tractor.
Why not? And if, I mean, again, if we use them, I'm looking more for the outfields for baseball, the baseball fields, if we've got to get in the grade in between the fields where we got the gradual swales,
That skid steer will do that.
Didn't we,
they'll do the grade. But you can't put it out on the baseball fields if we have to go in there and recut the infields and do all that kind of stuff.
It can cut the infields.
You're gonna tear that field apart. I've watched these track machines work, and they do a lot of damage, just as much as the big knob tire does. If you don't have a turf tire on there, we're gonna do a lot of damage on these fields.
I agree
I'm-
on the grass possibly. but
I'm
not
saying,
on the infield.
if we're gonna keep the RTV, and I'd rather have a smaller backhoe with a 3-point hitch on the back, then we could put a trailer on the back of it. At least we got the bucket machine to go in there with infield mix, warning track mix, or whatever we gotta have. So, I mean, to me, you know, I'd rather, like I said, I'd rather not have the RTV and get another bucket machine out there. That's just, you know, with what I'm looking at, what work we're gonna have to do out there and keep maintaining.
So to me, if you want to keep the 24,000 for that small little machine.
You know, I mean, what do you guys think?
What else are we gonna use it for? What else are we gonna use it for?
Oh, we got a lot of maintenance out there around the bike, or the bike path and all that kind of stuff we can use it for. When we set up for special events, it can be used. So that's one of the reasons we look at the RTW. Was, you know, to have it there for helping with special events.
So now look at the back row you're gonna get, what else are we gonna use it for?
That's why I have a small one in. I didn't want the backhoe, I just wanted a bucket machine.
Or a bucket machine, what else are we gonna use?
There's a lot of maintenance out there. If we're gonna keep going on that field and making it good, we're gonna need something out there. Not the big machine.
I don't think this gets there, gonna tear up, I don't think it is.
Construction sites I've been on, they tear them up. Especially when you're out there and you're turning sideways and,
You can tear things up, you can tear things up to the back.
I know.
let me ask a question.
The person operating it, you know, the biggest thing is we're gonna have a machine that's multi-useful. We can use it for all kinds of things, not.
What I'm saying is, instead of the RTW, Chris, get a small bucket machine and still get your skid steer, but it gives us 2 machines that we can use for a lot of different things. Do away with the 24,000. You can buy a nice bucket machine for 24 or less. I mean, they got them parked right in Moore, without a backhoe on them,
45 to 49.
without a backhoe. Not with the backhoe, you're right.
Yeah, they're a little over 20, between 22 and 23,000.
Yeah. We can knock 20 grand off that, at 24.
Well, that's on there.
I'm saying, do away with the RTD. And just my feeling is if you had a smaller machine out there with a bucket, it's gonna get a lot more use. I'd rather have the bucket machine there with the RTD.
But you could always use, the school has one of those small machines if you ever need
Again,
it.
we're at everybody's whim on, if we need it, we need it.
The same thing with the compressor.
I'm saying, if we're gonna take one of them out, take the RTV out and get the bucket machine. That's what we were talking about, right, John?
Yeah, but you're just changing the name of what you're buying. You're not taking any money out or adding money. You're just changing the name of what you're buying.
Or if we're gonna get the RTV for 24, we can buy a nice sized bucket machine for the 24.
All right, so you're looking at that chunk of capital staying in, you're just gonna change the equipment
Yeah.
for the same amount of money. So that's budget neutral.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's me talking to the guys that are working in the Amanda's field and what they could really use out there. So. Skid steer, that's a great piece of equipment. It's gonna do a lot of work for us. But we still come down to the scheduling, and when we need a piece of equipment, that's gonna be doing more grading and road work and all that kind of stuff. And that backhoe we have right now, Chris, we just put, what, 8 grand back into it? That thing's, I don't know how much longer that's gonna last either.
5 years.
You know. But if it's an either or, I'd rather have a bucket machine. If we're gonna take both of them out, take both of them out.
Well, I mean, you know, my concern isn't so much what piece of equipment it is. It's that $24,000 chunk of capital. Do we leave that in or do we pull it out? Is it necessary that we leave that in? You know, whether we call it a skids, whether we call it a, you know, an RTV, or if it's, you know, a bucket loader, either or, it's the 24,000 that I think we're more concerned with at this point.
No, so if you're gonna remove it, if I have my choice, if it's going to be in there, I would get rid of the RTV. Yeah.
Well, I guess it kind of comes down to, the question is, I mean, if this is a piece of capital that's needed to perform the duties necessary to maintain these fields, that can't be put off, then we leave it in. You know, and you know, it's whatever piece of equipment it is, but, you know, I'm more concerned with the number than I am with what we call the equipment.
Right, so can we review line by line where we are?
Yes.
Okay, so let's do that, because
Okay. All right, so far, if you're looking at the cheat sheet that I kind of played with, which is this little 2-page deal.
all right,
The rear load trash truck, it was originally $215. What is proposed is making that 2 rear load trash trucks for $175 each for a total of $350. All right, the Toro mower for the athletic fields, $23,000 would remain. The skid steer, which was originally budgeted at $72,000, we would upgrade that to $100,000 for the additional attachments that Chris had proposed. Right now, there's no decision on the service truck, $40,000, that's still in there. The piece of equipment, or the $24,000 called the Kubota RTV, is the one that we were talking about, which
so
may
we
end
just
up
call it
being-
Kubota, we
Just-
know what we're trying to get at
Right.
24.
There is a grapple truck for $205,000 still in there.
No, is that, just so, I know, that's a truck that has something that can pick up,
It's a truck that has a roll-off body on it, but at the front of the roll-off body, it stays part of the truck. It has a grapple arm, so it would allow us, instead of sending 2 or 3 guys out to pick up brush collection or bulky items, that they could, you know, the driver gets out, operates the grapple, and picks up and loads the roll-off container.
so we're getting an additional rear loader trash truck, I thought, for brush and that kind of stuff, and leaves. Why do we need both?
You won't be able to load leaves in that grapple truck.
Yeah, that'd be for brush.
I'm not, to be honest with you,
I know, but, I mean, I guess I'm like, why can't we just get the rear loader trash truck and then get some kind of, you know, whatever those things are, we put the wood into the thing and it crushes it up or whatever. Chipper, yeah. I'm
not seeing the grapple truck either, to be
Okay.
honest with you. I don't see that as a huge asset, especially not at the cost and trying to.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me ask you guys this. The method in which we collect leaves, are we thinking outside the box as far as coming up with better ways of collecting leaves? I mean, I showed you a piece of equipment that's out there. Looks like a snow blower, right? They're using them all over the place. Where they go down the road, they shoot the leaves right in the back of the dumpster truck. That's why I was talking about the grapple truck. You get the grapple truck where you're using it for dual purpose of picking up trees that our guys aren't sitting out there chainsawing all day long. You can pick up a tree and put it right in the back of the grapple truck, right? You pick up all your white goods. So what I'm saying is we gotta get away from just buying rear loader trucks and using a dumpster truck. Buy more dumpsters. You know, it's a lot least expensive to have extra dumpsters and filling them up with leaves.
well, wouldn't
I
it
mean,
also?
you gotta
make-
think that way.
But
We're
what-
buying nothing but rear loaders.
And wouldn't it also make sense to change the policy that we have, and rather than put loose leaves out in piles, we just say, hey, we'll pick them up from now on, but they have to be back to the old paper bag system? I mean,
Absolutely, do it, let's go.
I don't think,
I mean, you know, we gotta be realistic here. It's like people want us to control taxes. There has to be a little give and take here.
Let me add something here. We did a little quick study. We paid about $250,000 in man hours picking up leaves last year. That's $250,000. We're spending a lot of money picking leaves up. For one season. Right? For one well, we did get part of the other season in, but that's 250 grand in just sweat. You know, and then we're buying equipment on top of that to pick up leaves. You know, it's becoming a very expensive business as well as picking up leaves. So to think that we're just gonna keep picking leaves up the same way and think we're gonna become more efficient is the definition of insanity. I mean, you're not gonna get any better. We gotta think of an easier way to pick up the leaves that are more cost effective. And like that piece of equipment I showed you, that's one way in the right direction of saving you some money. It's almost just like the Kubota, just like the skid steer. There's all kinds of implements you can put on the front of that piece of equipment. And we look into that.
yes, the problem with that was the dump truck that they were loading, you know, we have much smaller dump trucks.
Okay.
And by the time you would almost have to have the whole fleet of dump trucks. That thing would go from here down the building, and it would fill up one dump truck so fast that we need more dump trucks just to keep that thing moving.
Yeah, dump truck can't compact them.
Yeah.
What you're talking about is something that would grind them up, so.
Grinds them up
you're
and
gonna reduce the
pulverize
gas
them to the
space.
point where you need less capacity.
It's a two-man job as far as the machine. So you have to have somebody walking out in front of it, making sure there's no block or anything else in the leaves, and then the person driving the truck and the person driving the machine. But the attachments on that were, what, about 25,000 a piece?
Yeah.
And it had everything, stump grinder, you name it, they had it with it.
Almost just like
They
the,
said they would come down and demonstrate it for us, no problem.
just like the skid steer, but it's a tractor.
Yeah, the skid steer, you know, a completely different piece of equipment than what this is, but
But what I'm looking at with the grapple truck, when we talked about that in the very beginning, is that thing would come in very handy with the storms that we've been dealing with the down trees. You're not chainsawing trees up, you're throwing the whole tree in the back of a truck, you're done with it. You know, you're picking up refrigerators. Guys aren't picking the refrigerators up. This grapple truck picks them up and throws them in the back of the dumpster.
Well, okay, so if it's that efficient, then my question is, why do we need two rear?
I don't think we need another rear loader. For right now, we don't need another rear
Well,
loader.
we're looking at the other rear loader in relation to the dumpster.
You're gonna have two. We're talking about three.
Oh,
Yeah. Eliminate one rear loader.
Two rear end are requested plus the grapple truck.
If you're gonna change the ordinance for leaves, good.
just remember, we used to pick them up in black bags. We changed the ordinance.
With plastic bags originally.
Yes,
I know,
change the ordinance, and it worked.
to paper bags.
The only thing that you're gonna hurt here in this whole grand scheme of things, and if you guys write down your ordinance, you're gonna have the landscapers cussing.
Yeah, well, that's,
But
well, I mean, listen, that's not true. There are folks that are on the streets with a lot of trees that just rake their leaves out to the street.
Yeah.
Caledonia is one, and, you know, you go down Hope Course and the leaves are piled, you know.
Stagecoach.
But,
I mean, most of them are.
but I don't know that it's that much more of a burden to ask our residents to bag them, and we go to a different, in fact, it probably would be quicker and cleaner. I mean, we could pick them up at more of a reasonable time but it has to be a process that's put in place where the bags are picked up. You know, I mean, leaves sometimes are on the streets for 3 or 4 weeks until, you know, it goes through the cycle. You know, we can't have bags out for 3 or 4 weeks.
I think you'd have to advertise what areas you're gonna do so that the people would bag them just a couple days before.
Exactly.
You
The
know?
problem with that is, you know, it all comes down to what's in front of the guys. You know, you say, yeah, we do
I don't even know if you can even do that. I think it boils down to, it's a routine, and then within a 2-week period, can we patrol the entire township and pick up bags?
not look for that. Not if we're gonna make everybody do bags.
we probably go around twice plus in the spring, right?
We go for a month, we do the month of April,
Mm-hmm.
and then we do about, it's essentially 2 months.
We're covering the township in the fall. 2 times.
Correct.
But we do a lot of brush pickup too, don't we?
Yes.
So, I mean, on top of the leaves, we're doing brush pickup. How many different times do we go out? I mean, you gotta get to a point where we say, we're only gonna hit your neighborhood once, that's
That's
it.
what I'm saying, has anybody looked at that, where if we advertise it properly,
Yeah, that's what I'm
post the
saying.
roads that, you know what, on such and such a date.
These are the
This
areas.
is when these, it's gonna get picked up, you get one time and one time only. You don't put your leaves out the day after the township goes through there.
But you can't do that because the residents don't have any control when the leaves fall off the trees.
Right.
But
I
we
mean,
still
this year, for example, a lot of leaves fell
Came
early.
late, well,
We was
some
told
came
later
Seems
in
like
the
it was one
season.
Saturday all fell.
But, yeah, but then I can't start later in the season if I already advertise of when it is. You have to make, in the fall, you have to make 2 passes to pick
I
it
don't
up.
understand
because-
why we have to make 2 passes. If we started 2 weeks later, so the leaves are falling, you still make 1 pass. And they get them out there and they don't, it's a service we're getting.
But what happens when they haven't fallen and they don't fall until the end of December,
Well, if
and
they-
we've already done the collection.
But
and
then
you're
it's
gonna have
everybody.
every
The whole
resident in
township's
the
gonna be
township calling and
affected that
saying,
way.
the leaves haven't
It's
fallen
not gonna
yet.
affect one street, the whole township's gonna be that way. If we don't start it till later, we start it later. If you start it in October and the leaves don't fall till December, we're still in the same boat.
But you're still gonna have people that start putting leaves out, even if they get 2 bags of leaves or this little big of a pile, you have people that start in early late October raking leaves out
They
for
do.
those leaves, and then you have people that wait to do it all the time.
Maybe up to a
You've
certain
got the
point,
whole
they should be
gamut.
bagged, and when the leaves, and then after that, it's a one-time deal around the township.
Well, if you're gonna do it, get rid of it. I mean, if you wanna go to bags, you go to bags, you don't go bags for this
Yeah,
time
you
of
can't-
year.
you can't do
Usually
both.
like-
I mean, you gotta figure, I said, we're picking up leaves 3 times basically in a year. And you said 250 for the fall season?
No, that's for all.
It was for both.
No, it's about 50,000 to do, April, because it's not, it isn't as heavy.
Look, again,
And about
I'm,
200.
I don't, if we're picking them up in the fall, why are we picking them up in the spring? Because people are doing their spring cleanup?
If you check most people's yards right now, there's more leaves down. There's people that have already raked out small piles of leaves. People put out bags of leaves already.
I guess what I'm looking at is I've had people say to me, you need to cut the local purpose tax. But they don't want to cut rescue squad, they don't want to cut all the other things. If we're being almost redundant picking things up 3 times, maybe they need to step up a little bit and say, I want to accept that responsibility. And it's going to take some training to do it.
yeah, but you have to realize, I mean, human nature.
Well, I know it
I
is.
mean, if we don't have a program to pick up leaves, you're gonna wind up having the leaves put in with regular trash anyway. I mean, that's just the way it's gonna work.
Not have the program.
So,
but
yeah,
have
I
the
mean,
program
people
involved.
want their properties to look, halfway decent. They're also trying to clean up and, not, make their property look good. And, we gotta figure how to make this process work more efficiently, but not cut the program out. Because if you cut the program out, people are gonna just be using the regular trash anyway. We're still gonna be picking them up, but it's gonna be in a different way.
We'd
if
be
you look
better
at-
off doing 1 pickup in the fall and 1 pickup in April.
And if you
instead
look at
of
the
doing 2 in the
age,
fall.
if you look at the age of those 5 Packers, 1 to 2001, 1 to 2002, we have 2 2003s, and we have a 2005. I think everybody will agree that all 5 of those trucks are well beyond their normal useful life, where, even the newest one has been in service for more than 11 years. To have a trash truck in service for 11 years, that's a pretty good length of service. And it's kind of the same thing with the roads. When we started talking about automated trash and then we kind of implemented, we kind of forgot and put on the back burner the rest of our rolling stock that still does other things. But what we did was, we've gotten some extra years out of it because they're not rolling as often, so that they're not getting beat up as often, so that you can stretch the life out. But now we're getting to the point where, John, you were saying, hey, we started with 7, and where are we at? Well, we've been keeping the trucks on because as one kind of peters out, it runs a little less, but hey, we need a bunch of these trucks to do leaves, so we kind of keep it around. And this last fall season, Chris will tell you, there was times where, a couple of those trucks didn't go out because it was spending as much, it spent 2 days on the road, a day and a half in the shop.
Do we have some maintenance records and the costs associated with maintaining these trucks?
They just spent, honestly, just spent, they just put 1,800 in one of them for a radiator and a alternator.
Joe probably has one.
You can get your hands, yeah.
I mean, that's,
But they're getting to the point where they're not
Are they diesels or gas?
diesels. But I mean, just about, even neglecting the engine part, the chassis are all rotten.
oh, I know, and I, you know, I see them going down the road, I see the bodies are a mess, I mean,
We got one right now that is unusable. It's unusable, it's not worth putting the money into.
well, that, you know, that, so when something like that happens, I mean, that needs to be locked out, and it needs to go, we gotta launch it, because, you know, unfortunately, if you have a piece of equipment there, you're going to incur some maintenance costs. If you don't get it out of your yard, you're gonna spend money on it.
And that's what we were, you know, waiting to get that last little bit of a leaf season out of them. Because we talked several times last year about, you know, when are we getting some of those rolling stock, you know, to whittle them down. You know, I think we talked at the beginning of last summer, I said, you know, there's gonna be about 2 or 3 of them that come January 2016, that they're ready to retire. Well, we definitely have 2 that are, you know, that we're not gonna be using.
You know, I was watching a show the other night on TV. Tractor trailers, semis. Tractor had 90,000 miles on it within the first year. It's now like 30 years old, and it's still going strong. It's a diesel. There's a hell of a lot of maintenance that the guy puts into it. You could eat off the hood, you could eat off the floors, it's so clean. You know, and I'm not saying we're gonna do that with our employees, but I'm just saying that I just see money being wasted here. There's gotta be a more efficient way. If we can take care of the truck bodies and keep them up to speed, then just replace the dumper on the back or the loader on the back. I just can't see throwing money here for 2 trucks. I just can't see it.
Packer buys it and switched from tractor to tractor. Actually done that.
And that's good. That's good. And now, and I realize,
Older than the tractors.
I realize there'll be a point that probably through salt water and all the stuff we get, the bodies are going to rust. I understand that, but I just can't grab it. How many trucks did you say originally, John? Was there rear loaders 5 already?
We had 7.
Well, we had 7.
We had 7. Now we got 5.
We had 7 rear loaders. And then we went with the automated collection system.
Right.
So we bought 2 automated,
Right.
and we got rid of 2 rear loaders.
Right.
Then we bought another automated,
Automated.
and we didn't get rid of any rear loaders.
Right.
So now we've gone from 7 to 8 trucks. Now we're talking about
Adding 2 more.
2 more. Now those 2 of those, you know,
Actually,
keep
3
in
more
mind
at
the
this point.
replacement when you throw the grapple truck in there. Now you're
Yeah.
looking at 3.
Yeah. I'm just beyond comprehension here. I just can't, I
You
can't
know,
pull my head around this. It just doesn't, I agree with Ed. We gotta find a better way of doing business. It's gotta be a better way.
What's the answer then? What's the answer to what we're doing? Because if you look at these trucks that we use, they get loaded with beef sand, they get loaded with salt, they get loaded with crap.
I understand that. I understand that.
So their life use is only for so long. So when this stuff rots and goes away, you take the body off of it, you refurbish the body, and goes over to the chassis.
That's fine.
We have some of those bodies that have been on 3 brand new chassis.
Okay.
Those bodies are now
Past life.
past life. The ribbing is going in on them, and the structural, the stability of the bodies, it's gone.
We've actually taken those old bodies completely apart, built all new floors and built all new walls and put new hoppers on them. We've done that. There's nothing left to weld on.
We got one truck that goes out every single day. He's either picking up, right now, not grass clippings, he's either picking up brush, he's either picking up leaves. That truck goes out every single day. So if that truck breaks down, what do we stick him in? We gotta have a backup to that truck to pick this stuff up, because you still have, believe it or not, it may be February. But you have Mr. and Mrs. Smith, have nothing better to do than walk the Rick all the way, pick up all our sticks, put them out to the curb, and you have many, many residents that do that. So he's continuing
But at the same time, as you're saying that, Mike, we have to get to a point where we're not picking brush up all year long.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
it's,
not so much you're picking up brush, you're picking up sticks and leaves and whatever.
and that's what we're talking about. We have to, you have to change people's behavior to the point where we can't.
Where would they put it?
We can't, what's that?
Where are you gonna put it? I mean, I have sticks on my lawn right now. I'm probably getting
I
ready
got
to do the
3
same
acres
thing.
and I got it, and it's like, you know, you get your butt, go out and you buy a chipper and you make a compost pile.
Well, you have 3 acres. The average household in Marmora and Beasley's Point doesn't have that.
I understand,
And they
but
don't want a chipper.
not everybody's
and-
putting brush out every day, though. I mean,
Remember, we cannot put out brush, or we cannot pick up brush, grass clippings, and leaves and throw them all in the same truck.
Well, you can.
Can't, have to be
You
separate.
just pay the higher rate.
Well, no, you're right, you
You
can,
pay the higher rate.
you can dump them in Atlantic County, and you
Go to
can,
Cape May County.
no, well, I know you go to Cape May County, but if you want to avoid that, you do what Ocean City does, and they combine all of their vegetative waste into one collection vehicle, and they dump it in Atlantic County.
We also use it for recycling.
Well,
Well, right, but you're not, I understand that, but you're not gonna be,
but it's a catch, you have to be careful because we're getting hosting fees because we have the landfill at half in Upper Township. So we try and utilize that.
Oh, yeah, no,
So we're-
I understand.
Or else we'll lose on the back
If that's
end.
the case, John, then maybe you guys make an authorization for that truck to collect all of it, and we take it to Atlantic County. I don't know what the time was you're gonna save by running, but that's your guys' call, that's not something I don't think that we can make to say, buy it all and take it to Atlantic County.
I mean, the committee should also know, we did start doing that. This year, we did change our bulk schedule. We have changed our compost schedule to try to, you know, to put some parameters in it so that, you know, during the off-season right now, we're only picking up, I'll say compost, we're making it once a month, so that that truck can pick up, you know, where he's picking up another type of commodity, and, you know, so we're not picking up brush, the heavy brush, every month. We're, you know, I think it's 4 to 5 times a year, I forget what the, you know, how we changed the program, but we, you know, if you remember, we discussed that back in early December, you know, we changed those collection cycles to try to economize so that, you know, we're, you know, getting more efficient and, trying to economize on that. So we are moving that way. This is just the first year of it. But we're just, you know, I'll just go back to it. We're at the same point we were with the roads. We didn't replace any of these rear loaders that we use for general purposes. I mean, everybody, you know, John Q. Public thinks that we just pick up the household trash, and once we had the automated side loaders, that's, we don't need to buy another rear loader.
I think that's
It
what
has no
happened.
other purpose.
When we were in that, I think a lot of us had a misconception.
right, I mean,
Yes.
of
with
how many
the,
trucks we were really gonna wind up with.
with what the township collects and the methods of collection, I would be very hard pressed to see that you're gonna be able to do away with rear load trash trucks. Just, it,
no, you're still gonna have to have it.
right. So, you know, with that, and that's kind of why, you know, I would kind of back off on the grapple truck, and I understand where it is a more innovative way of doing things, and yes, you can multi-purpose it, you can use it to pick up white goods, you can use it for some of your bulk, you know, theoretically, you can use it for all of your bulk, but you can also pick up your bulk in a rear loader.
Yeah, but a lot of our, like, white goods and stuff, we use our flatbed
Right.
liftgate truck for.
Yes.
Which is getting, you know, it's not old by any stretch, but then if we had that grapple truck, then that extends the life of that truck. You know, because otherwise that truck is gonna be accelerated.
But that is not taking care of your priority needs now. You just said that the trucks, the rear loader trucks are old and they need to be replaced. So you take what you need now, and my recommendation would be to get the 2 rear loaders and not get the grapple truck. We can't worry about the flatbed truck at this point. If it's still functional, it's working well. We have to draw priorities here. You can't just have everything to try and replace and prolong the life of everything. It doesn't work that way. Let's just do what we need to do to take care of the priorities now, and, you know, hope that the future has, you know, better things in store for us.
So is that the trade-off? Do you want a grapple truck or do you want a rear loader? So it comes down to it.
I need earlier.
All right, so
There you
there's
go.
the answer.
There you go.
All right, so, let's see, grapple truck comes off, that's 205, so we're 30,000 to the positive.
So we're getting two rear loader trash trucks.
All right, so with that, let's pull back to this service truck. Pardon?
The mechanic truck isn't gonna last much longer,
Okay.
and if we're gonna continue to work on our own vehicle, we need to be able to get to it.
Well, I guess my question was, and I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes, I think I wanna try to get a feel for, you know, how often are we making road calls?
Almost every day.
Okay, are we making road calls exclusively for Upper Township, or are we also making road calls for the county
It's
contractor?
just ours, because we actually have a mechanic's truck that is the county's, that we try, that only gets used for their vehicles, it's under contract.
That's,
And that's probably as old as ours, but it belongs to the county.
oh, why, we can't use it?
You can, but it's just a bad
It's
shape.
just as bad a shape as ours.
It's not, it's not any better.
The county didn't give us nothing, no gem.
Yeah.
Wasn't that supposed to be part of the deal? That they gave us a vehicle that's functional?
To go take care of their vehicles. I'm not saying it's not functional, but it's the same age as our truck.
Well,
And again, that's a 1993.
The problem with the county, Chris, the county has the same problem as us, they used to keep their salt outside, the trucks are around their salt piles. And that's the same thing that happened to our mechanic truck, a lot of these older trucks that are on this list, is they used to be in our yard and we had the salt outside. And that just made things old, on a lot of this older equipment that we had, and that's why it's rotted out. I mean, just because it's parked inside doesn't mean it's not getting inside, just so you don't get this with the road department building, I mean, that salt's nasty.
How is the current service truck that the township owns equipped? What's it have?
Air compressor, lift utility body.
It does not have the crane hoist, does not have a welder on it of what a typical service truck would have.
Doesn't have a fuel tank either on it.
No.
It's not a service truck like a van has, you see their guys drive around. It's
Right,
not.
but you've got the basics, you've got a utility body, do we keep tools in the utility body, or?
It gets out there to be able to change tires
Only
and
half the boxes, the other half of the boxes is problems.
But do we use it to go out and service our heavy equipment and everything out in the
Yes.
field? So it's used to go out to
When-
Take
Okay.
the hydraulic
Service
hose,
equipment out there.
we're going to have to fix it.
Full of hydraulic hoses, full of all the different fittings that they would need if they had to do a hydraulic line on the road. They use it for changing tires on the road.
So they've got a swaging tool in there so they can make the hoses?
What they actually do is he has a couple multiple sizes to where he has to get something up and running.
He's got the common
He
hoses.
can make it run for the rest of the day and then get it back to the shop.
Okay. You know, I'm just, here's where I'm going with this. You know, I'm looking at things like, you know, the mechanic truck and the F-250 pickup. I mean, could we buy an F-350 pickup, throw a compressor on it? Do we really need that toolbox, or do we really need the utility body on that thing? I mean, a lift gate, I understand, especially now that we have the larger trucks, and you need a lift gate to get the tires on and off the truck. I
It's
get
a lot
it.
simpler with the utility body. You have all their tools.
you gotta have your tool, you got a spot to put
They've
your
already
tools.
got trucks set up with tools to go out and take care of whatever needs to be.
So they are set up and they are equipped.
Okay,
With the F-250,
Yeah, you
you
don't wanna-
replace what truck,
my truck,
which is how old?
my truck is,
2004.
my truck, it's run, everything's snowstorm.
So if we don't get a new one, then you're going to have to be driving the F-350.
What's that?
You'd have to be driving the
No,
F-350.
I'm trying to run. I'll run it till the body falls off.
And that's
How many
going,
miles does it have on it?
My truck right now is right around back and I watched something bounce across the road. It was a crossover from my head. It rotted out and fell out like it bounced down the aisle.
Plus, he has a fuel tank in his truck for the,
Yeah.
I think we should just leave both of those in there. I think there's been enough positive, you know, there's been enough positive discussion that the service truck is one thing that's taking care of our equipment, and the F-250, you know, 150,000 miles may not sound like a lot to some people, but it's local miles, it's not on the highway, and they're tough miles. It's plowing and everything else.
How big is the compressor in the service trucks?
It's 5 horse. I believe it's
Is there any way to upgrade that to do what the other compressor would do for blowouts and all that kind of
I
stuff?
can't get the volume out.
All right, so I was asking just to try to.
And when these trucks are replaced, we're just moving that inventory out. We
Yeah,
can't,
Yeah, these two trucks, when they, yes.
and we move out the inventory,
It's
the
coming
the
to
garbage
deals.
trucks, even if it means, I mean, we can put it on Gulf deals or whatever,
deals
but,
and blow them out.
but whatever the case may be, we gotta start condensing so that we can really start getting a handle on this equipment.
That's why these updated sheets that I gave you has every piece of rolling stock, and that's, you know, you guys wanted that long-term projection.
So what about this cyberlock thing?
Oh, wait a second, what about the construction officials truck?
It's in there right now.
It's right
I
now,
just wanted, we
No,
didn't,
it's not.
I thought we were going back over.
No, it's in here. I think that's in there.
that's in
25,000.
there, you know, would it make sense, I mean, you know, it's
Why
in
can't
there
they
for
move this
25K, does
beat
it
up
need a truck,
250 to the
could
construction
you get a
office
Ford
for a couple of
Focus, I
years?
mean, does it need to be,
Does he carry anything around in it?
does it need to be a pickup?
Body?
He has to have something that he can get in and out of the mud with and all that kind of stuff on the
That's,
sites.
I mean, he's going on the sites that sometimes don't have,
Paved roads?
they're not, I mean, he's usually, I mean, not as much on the paved roads, because, I mean, a new subdivision might be,
I'm just throwing it out there, is it something that we've looked at, I mean, is it something that we can adjust?
I'll throw out another question. Could we take the 250 that's got 150,000 miles on it and use that for a couple more years until we can afford to get another truck for the construction office?
Is
I
there
mean, he's not hauling anything.
the construction official's truck that he currently has was Brenda Layton's old supervisor truck.
Okay.
You know, we kind of, you know, when time for him to get a new truck, the Public Works or Recreation Department got the new truck, and Mr. Kenny got
But he can get away with like a Dodge
And that's
Dakota or
fine.
something
the.
like
He can probably
that.
get,
He doesn't need a full-size truck.
Doesn't need a pickup.
Yeah, it should be a pickup, it should be four-wheel drive.
I don't even know if you need a pickup. I think we're better off having a all-purpose vehicle like we have the Blazer that we're using for the zoning office and stuff, where it's more practical to use for other, I mean, that's for this building here.
Yeah, he doesn't need to carry anything.
I mean, either way. you
I
don't
mean,
need-
if we need an extra pickup truck, we always have the beach patrol truck that we use, you know, in the summertime, and I don't wanna get in the habit of using that all the time, but if we're stuck, we do have that vehicle as well. That is a pickup truck. So if we're looking at a vehicle, I would suggest whatever the state has in place, you know, like some kind of, like, vehicle that's, you know, smaller SUV or something like that. To me, that seems more practical.
Chris, the only thing I'd ask, when you look at, if you go to the vehicle maker and just don't put him in something like a Chevy Blazer. Because they are, for some reason, size of it, they are the hardest vehicles to get in and out of. Because they are so tight inside.
No, let's check and see what's out there first.
I think something a little, you know, that height, you gotta get something a little more roomy, because I think that place we have, the steel doesn't even go in. So it's like stuck in one spot, so if you're a bigger person.
I drove it during the storm, and I'm as tall as you are. How tall are you? So am I.
Here we go.
I'm just saying, I drove it. Anyway,
But driving it every day, you need something that you can get in and out. That's what that place is not.
All right, what about the dump truck, 135,000?
I mean, number 9, that's it, replacing a 1997 dump truck. I don't even think the odometer works anymore. I think it's up close, I think it's over 200,000 miles.
200,000 miles, nothing on the dashboard.
How many dump trucks do we have?
We have, including mini dumps, or you don't want large?
All of them. Mini dumps, big dumps, little dumps, whatever the dump. Seems like we got a lot of dump
We have
trucks.
13.
13 dump trucks. So
And-
do we
and that's-
need to have another dump truck?
That's what it takes to plow, to set up for, to plow our streets, that's what.
Which spreaders and everything you're talking about, saws?
Not all of them, we're trying to get to where.
Okay, so let me ask, do we need dump trucks though? Do we have to have a dump truck?
Oh, yeah.
When you're
This is one of the
plowing roads,
larger ones, so this is one of the, this is a main line dump truck that's moving the main part of the
well, that's the thing, when you're plowing roads, it's different than plowing parking lot. You plow a road with an F-250, you're rolling the front end out of the truck. They're just not made to
Yeah,
do
but we have
We end up
13
with
dump
Christmas
trucks.
truck.
We have 13 dump trucks.
65
Yeah,
miles.
13 of them, one of them doesn't even plow, or one sauce from the plow.
Right.
How many miles of road do we have?
71 miles of road.
Yeah, roughly 71.
I mean, I'll say there's probably 67 miles of paved road, and we have like 3 or 4 miles.
Are we gonna start taking some of the county roads? Is there any chance that we're gonna start taking some of the county roads and
If
stuff?
we took the county roads, they would give us a county truck to plow with. Yeah. We talked with them about that.
That's scary.
Out of those 13 trucks, we got 2 on there that don't plow or salt, so.
You got 11.
So you got 11 trucks for 67 miles of road.
And they came from the old record farm. They
Yeah,
weren't.
they were really done some direct.
That was.
So you got a truck for every 6 miles of road.
Give or take.
And
I
then
don't
we,
know what the right number
and
is.
then what we have pickup trucks where they kind of follow along and assist,
They clean up.
they do the intersections and kind of clean up small areas, parking lots.
I bet that's pretty close. You're pushing on that long.
The truck that you're going to replace, how's the body on that?
It's shot.
Like salt shaker.
It's got giant holes in it, attached holes in that,
I mean, that truck is essentially, it has a box in it right now that we have, that we use for the chipper and the small leaf back.
That's the one that's getting thrown out.
Yes.
Yeah. It's air conditioned all over.
There's enough dust holding in some of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the oldest, I mean, the next oldest dump truck in the fleet is the 2002, we have a 2000 mini dump.
Do we?
But I mean, that's a 1997.
Do we have
No, I'm not so sure that's not the way to go.
Do we, I was just saying, do we have to buy new on this, or can we start looking at some, maybe some trucks that are 2 years old that are for sale?
Problem with that, though, is what, you gotta look at them and see what they bid through. I mean, you first.
Well, I know that. I know
First
that.
paint underneath the body, spray coated, and it hides it for a little bit, and then next.
I mean, you can buy them 2 years, from a dealer and get the warranty on, just like you do a brand new one.
But the problem with that is, when you, by the time you put it out the bid, correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, but by the time you put it out the bid, and the bid goes out and you find that truck, there's no guarantee that the time it comes around, that truck's there, somebody else didn't buy it.
Right. No, I understand
That's
that.
the problem.
I was just thinking, for the things like that we're using for compost and hauling that deteriorating fast on us, is it something we could look at maybe getting something used versus this, and that would help us spread our fleet out a little bit. With the idea that in 3 or 4 years, we replace that one and go to another new one.
We're already looking at using.
Yeah, but if
Yeah, and I know that.
As long as you buy a dump truck, it's something that we
replace the
already have.
chassis.
We don't wanna go buy a Mitsubishi, when we have all Freightliner.
I understand that.
So on the used side, you have to look, and I don't know how it really.
I just didn't know if it was feasible or not, that's all.
Something can be looked at.
We should.
Or the other thing is, if there's some kind of partial leases, if we need the truck for 4 to 6 months out of the year, is that feasible?
I mean, we just replaced.
We did that with the rescue squad, right, Jed? That's what we're looking at, is a lease.
Yeah, but that's a year-round lease.
But I mean, again, the numbers on that worked out where it was,
The numbers do
Better in
not
the
work,
long
like,
run.
the numbers do not work.
they're not working. Oh, she gave us bad numbers.
Well, the total cost is $320,000 to lease it for 5
Okay,
years.
all right. But, and again, that's why I'm asking, I don't know, but it's something,
All right.
The thing of that dump truck is that is a 5-yard? Actually, six-yard dump truck, which holds 6 or 7 scoops, as opposed to the smaller ones that hold 3, some of the other dump trucks might hold 4. So when you are out salting and you're at Beasley's Point, you send a bigger truck to Beasley's Point because he can get a lot more done. Bigger body truck instead of running back to the yard.
Now, this dump truck, just like the dump truck we just got, the newer one, so it's a larger truck.
Yeah. If you get your machine, you need to go to the auction.
And if you bought it, I mean, you could save some money now and buy a used one. The only problem is when you go to replace it, because we just bought a new one last year, you're most likely gonna have to replace both of them, potentially at a closer time frame than maybe not.
Yeah, I just didn't know where we were cost-wise, that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
If it's 50%,
we
and
can
we
look
can get
into
3 or
that.
4 years out of it, that gives us a chance to get this whole fleet rolled over in time frames. And we're not gonna get hit like this 5 years from now again,
We can look into what that costs.
if it's feasible. What do you think, Ed? Your department?
All right, let's talk about the cyber lock system.
I've given you a package on that, just so that you guys are, more familiar with that. This system, like here at Township Hall and the Community Center, we have accountability, and we know who comes in, who goes out, times, and we control who goes in and goes out. Currently, at our different fields and other facilities, we don't have that control and knowing what's going on. Also, most of our keys, whether it's a padlock, it's a master lock key. If it's, a key to the concession stand at Caldwell Park, it's a standard Schlage lock, where, we give it to a coach. Coach gives the key to the son goes to Vantage Hardware, makes copies, and then, over years, they don't get returned for whatever reason, and then you don't have knowledge and control over who's going in where and when. And then when we have issues at a facility, we have to go in and change all those locks, and then reissue keys and cut keys and then redistribute them. With
Still
this
gonna take a
system-
long time to get to $65,000. Still gonna take a long time to get to $65,000.
But we'll know from the start of who's has control and who's going in and out of our buildings.
This is an incredible sophisticated ask for fields. And,
And our buildings.
well, you're suggesting we're gonna switch what we have here to this too?
Yeah, we have to anyway. We have to, as I discussed before,
I go to the state building once a month for Board of Pharmacy. We have more security here than they have at the state building in Newark. I have a little card that gets me in and out of the building, but that's all I have.
but here at Township Hall and the Community Center, the system that we're currently running is on a Windows 98 machine. As we all know, Windows 98 machines are obsolete. You can't upgrade them. The software that was written on them is not upgradable to the current software. The company doesn't exist anymore, so we have to buy a whole new computer software and controller system for that, which to upgrade
How much
both
does that
buildings,
cost?
$15,000.
Compared to 65,000.
But then we're still not getting all of our other facilities to be secure and to know what's going on out.
What kind of maintenance cycles are involved in this system?
It's, the key itself has a little, it's based on.
How much are
electronic
those
content.
keys?
The keys are $100 a piece.
Yeah.
Just
I
like,
mean-
just like your car key. Just like your car
That-
key that you have in your car.
This isn't, this isn't, listen, I've been incredibly supportive for security, I've been incredibly supportive for a lot of things. We're looking at a system here, that this isn't, the NSA, this isn't,
But it's also a time saver. Did you guys bring a set of your keys in with you?
No, I'm just sitting here thinking about how I wish I brought my set of keys.
Mike can go get his set of keys. the time savings and just, if you look at the size and the amount of keys that guys have to carry around to figure out when they want to go into a building.
Paul, this is 65,000 just to get this thing, and then it's 100, we're probably looking at 75,000, if not more. It's more than just $65,000.
Why?
How many keys come along with that?
We have about 135, and most of those are for sports that'll be reimbursing.
What's your key ring?
Well, you know what, I appreciate that, and I understand the, you know, the convenience of something like this and how it's streamlined, but somewhere in between what we have now and 65,000, there's gotta be a middle of the road solution.
John, I'll just give you a little bit of the community center, in case I build a building ground.
Yeah.
We got an issue there. I asked Paul to move security up to see who went in and out of the building. And I won't mention the gentleman thing, but the gentleman that came up and swapped into the system is not the gentleman that was there. When his name came up on the whole thing, it's not the person that was there.
So how
you gonna
how is that
prevent
gonna be any
that with
different than using this cyber key? He could give the cyber key to somebody else and do the same thing.
They can program them keys to work during the times that they're supposed to be there.
Yeah, well, you do that with the.
Yeah, but I can still get the key to you.
You cannot do that with what we have now.
You can do that with this system here. You should be able to do that.
System here is obsolete. System here is going away.
I think, is there some way we can do something in phases with a minimal, I mean, this is high security stuff. I have to agree with the mayor. I've been in government buildings all over the country, and I don't see this except where you go into a nuclear facility and then you get into it.
I mean, I am totally for security of our buildings,
I am too.
and more than anything, security of our employees to make sure that they're safe. But what's being asked here, I think, is well over and above the call of duty for our small municipality.
I think there's gotta
Like
be a
the push
happy medium.
buttons, like we have on the storage room on the side of the refreshment stand. How easy are they to be reprogrammed?
It's not a matter of being reprogrammed. Jeremy's replaced the glass on one of them 3 times.
Yeah, but now we don't have the glass. Now it's just a push button number
It's
system.
just a matter of time before they bust a handle on it. That one that he put on there was put on there just to put something on there because the other one couldn't be fixed. And that's what he was able to get. That's the only reason that one's on there. They're gonna bust that handle right off there. Just give them some time.
Well, and you know, this is the thing that, the other side of that I look at is, you know, we can put these expensive devices on there. We can take a, you know, it shows a padlock that's compatible with the cyber lock key. But we're padlocking the chain, it can be cut with a set of bolt cutters. So it's not,
Any lock is for an honest person.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody should put a
Yeah.
lock on that.
exactly, and that's kind of why.
That's the point we're trying to make here, okay?
But you guys always get to look at it, we have people going to Cabo Park to have keys, they don't belong there, but they have keys to get back to the baseball field. So they go there, they open the gate up, go back there, and leave the gate open. Kids go out there, they drive out in the fields, because they have a key to the gate.
Would it be cheaper for us to change the locks every year and change the key?
There's only so many master locks, I mean.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, I mean, that's why I like the push button. If that can be programmed differently every year at the end of each season.
What do you do with a chain on the gate?
But you can't. Like John said, I mean, to me, to put a security lock on that, it doesn't make any difference, because they're gonna cut it anyway if they wanna get in there. They've done it in the
The only
past.
thing I can say about the community center is, you make the sports organizations pay for these keys. It's their responsibility instead of a free-for-all. So they will purchase the keys for the organization and use the building. That'll offset the cost some at $100 a key. But
Well, I think we should be doing that now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
You gotta set up a key accountability program.
Make it go to Advantage, make a copy of the key and then turn the key back.
Well, the problem is, you know, usually the coordinator gets the key.
Good.
But then coaches go there without the coordinator, so the key gets given and it gets duplicated. Because it's not just one key for the group, it's maybe 10. So that's where the problem comes in.
Every coach gets a key, not just the
Well,
coordinator.
don't we have fob on the community center now?
Just, yeah,
So we don't have a record of that?
but not the interior doors. We've had people getting in the kitchen area and the back in the office area that there's a key. And we've changed the locks twice.
And they're taking and duct taping it in slides, so when the door shuts, it doesn't latch.
Key accountability program, people gotta sign for it, you're responsible. Hey, you only have
Well, there's a lot less security issues over at that building than we have here with the records and everything else that's here. So, I mean, again, you know, we can put every bell and whistle, that, you know, that's under the sun. Now, I just think this is really overkill. You know, just my opinion, there's 5 of us on here making decisions, so.
With the swipes we have now, with fobs, when basketball season's over, all the ones that are registered basketball can't be just shut off. They can't be duplicated.
They can, but those cards are, I think they're what,
They got a return them to you.
How much are the cards? $7 compared to 50 for each key.
I mean, if we start turning them off.
$100.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
And then
we,
there's a fee. You have
we're
to
almost
charge
better
a
off.
fee. They don't
just-
return it.
Right.
You can't, I said, you can't duplicate them. If basketball season's over, everything that's issued to basketball gets turned off. And they've got so much time to return them.
What if, question, Paul, is, what if we took this down to $20,000 and said, go get a system that's better than what we have right now, that we can modular?
That's gonna do the community center and town hall.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, and then
Well, we
you
have
look,
to do that.
then you look to the future, that maybe down the road, we can upgrade that system to do other places. But right now, focus on there.
When we first entered into the fob system, how much money did it cost us to get to the fob system?
I don't know, I have to research that.
It was nowhere near this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, where I work, they had the, you know, the palm hand thing, you know, because obviously there's medications and stuff, but, you know, that's put in place to prevent diversion, you know, I mean, there's a higher risk, but, you know,
I still think we turn them off.
we still have ID cards to get you in and out of every other building. You know, I mean, they don't have the sophisticated stuff like this. They have the sophistication in the one area where medications are stored. But to go through all the other buildings, I have an ID card with my picture on it, and you just, like what we're doing with a fob, you just run it past the thing and it opens the door.
And if we were to install those types of things at all of the other buildings that we have, you'd start to run up there in price too.
Well, it's gotta be less than starting to use this new system and adding all the keys and everything you're talking about.
But
Do we have a problem with the
the
refreshment
advantage is
stand and that
you
kind of
end
stuff?
up reducing the number of keys that they have to carry around and manage. I mean, there's also a productivity issue of, you know, I give Mike one key and I program it for all the locks that he has to get into, and he carries around one key, not 3 key rings of 20 or 30 keys apiece, and then trying to remember which ring is this building on, and goes through, you know, 10 keys on there that, you know, that might open that lock. You know, so there is a productivity end to it, not just the security end to it.
Can't we take,
But I understand.
again, can't we take, like in the community center and here and have one door, this key as a master key, that you would only have the one key to get in this building, or one key to get in the community center?
If you're gonna use, like town halls, when this was originally built, we have do not duplicate keys. In order to get a replacement key of that, we have to go up to a locksmith up outside of Philadelphia, and it's about $30 a key to get a replacement key, that you can only make it there. And then you have to have, you know, it's a special tumbler, which is, you know, so yes, you're spending $40 instead of $100.
Right.
But that $100 key works every lock, as opposed to needing a $40 key for you, for you, for you, for you
We
to get
could
into.
do one door going in
different
each building with a master key that would be yours and yours to get into without going through all these key rings. Everybody else will still go to the swipe course.
Yes, you can do that. Now you have to change the tumblers
Yeah, but
in every single door. Now, let's just go to the
I'm
community
just
center.
saying,
Let's go to the community center.
not every door, I'm talking about an entry door to get into the building.
I have a key fob right now.
I know, but I'm saying, if we're worried about,
Every one of our offices are secured in the township now, and the fob is, you know,
in the long run,
allows you to get into each one of the the rooms.
it'd be cheaper for us to change every lock to a master key that you have.
But we don't even need to
One
do
key.
that.
Not even, instead of him having 40 keys, he'd have one or two keys in the master key.
The keys that you have are not associated with this building, or what are all those keys for?
There's not a door in this council, there's one door in this council I cannot get into. And that's the refreshment stand in Calvin Park. Other than that, there's not a building here and this.
Well, right now, I have a fob that gets me to every office here at the township, into the building. I get into the community center.
But you can't get into all the
How far do you
office
go to the
areas.
community
What?
You can't go, with that fob, that can't get you into the office,
Whose office?
the office area that's at the community center.
But we
Or-
could
or
make
the
it,
kitchen.
But we could make it that you
happen.
could.
No, you need a key.
No.
We're
I'm saying we
Put an electronic lock on it, a fob.
Yeah, you know,
You're missing the point, the fobs are going away.
No, the
they're
fobs don't
not.
have to go away.
No.
Unless you spend.
Let me ask this question.
$15,000.
Paul,
It's better than 65,000.
It's better than 65,000.
Explain to me which situation you're talking about. If we keep fob the board, yes.
Yes.
Same keys.
No. Fob.
I want no keys.
No keys.
let me
Fob.
ask you this question, Paul. Can you is the fob system unable to be expanded upon?
It is now.
It
It's
can
crazy.
be, but it costs, you know, for each module, you know, you need, I think each controller can control 2 to 4 doors, and then you have to cable each door with an actuator, which that cabling and actuator probably typically runs probably about $150 a door by the time you run the cabling and the shared cost of the controller. You know, so, you know, that 15,000 was just to replace, you know, not even all the doors here at Township Hall are run. You know, there's several doors in offices that aren't.
Well, you know what, we have our IT guy, so Ed, I'm gonna ask you, the existing system that we have in place, okay? What do you estimate it would cost us to expand that, to bring us out of Windows 8 or whatever it is into Windows 10 or wherever we need to be at this point?
It's 15,000. Yeah, it's 15,000.
We got a quote for the current system,
So that would allow us to use existing fobs that we have.
Right.
yes. Well, the current system that we have, it runs on Windows 8 because of the controlling boards that operate the system. The controlling boards only work off a serial port. No one has a serial port with computers anymore. We can't get software for those control panels to run on anything else, which is why we were looking at 15,000 for.
So you gotta upgrade to wireless or USB port, okay?
What the system we're looking at would take the door actuators we have now, the fobs that we have now, and would allow us to put the community center and town hall all in the same system. We would be able to put fobs out over the internet. It's an internet-based program. We wouldn't have to put it on the server per se. So yes, we could add, I don't know how much an actuator would cost, I can find out. But we could add doors to it. Our current system won't take more doors. We are maxed out where we're at.
But this would be an expandable system.
Correct.
Tuck other modules.
probably, what, 20 grand?
So if we put 20 grand in there, do you think we could do here in the rec building, at least, just to
We
start?
currently have fobs. The 15 grand will do every fob, everything
that we have fobs
everything we
on.
have now. It also gives us another 100 fobs to make it easier to move over to the new system for programming.
Well, that would be my recommendation at this point.
There too, so.
And then we can expand that
So if we.
down the road, maybe next year put in 15 more grand and expand it to the other to the fields or wherever you're at down there.
Or if we have,
You know,
You can't do the field. You might be able to do the concession stand, but you wouldn't be able to-
concession
you
stand.
wouldn't be able to do any of the gate locks. Or
No, but that's-
any of those.
no, that's,
There are gate locks we could use that do fobs, just for, however, they're very expensive, and like you said, I would almost be remiss to put them in because someone's gonna cut the lock and take it.
Yeah, it'd be cheaper to buy the combination locks like.
We gotta watch what gates we put that ones over, because we have the ADA gates that the person squads goes to, along with fire companies to get in. There's an emergency, and they're on combinations right now. So we have to watch what we do with those, with Ed saying, fob them, and we gotta make sure the right people have them, and the right people open them gates for the handicap accessibility.
And I think we have to start enforcing more, like I said, when the season's over, any keys that are issued to that sport get turned off at the end of that season. That stops people from coming in and out all the time, out of their season.
I mean,
It's an enforcement
in a
issue.
very simple way. You go to a hotel, you check in, they give you a card to get into a room. The minute you check out, that card's no longer good. The season's over, the fobs will ask to be returned, and they're gonna be shut off whether they're returned or not. Let's hope that they get them returned, and I think people, for the most part, will return their fobs.
I just tell them to put a deposit on it.
Yeah.
You get to get it
If they
back at the
don't,
end
they
of the
don't
year.
get another fob until theirs is returned. Because usually
Whatever
it's-
the case may
usually it's
be,
the same
I don't
people
wanna
over and over.
complicate this,
then you
but,
turn it back on again
Deposit
when the
on, be
season
done with it.
starts.
exactly.
All right,
Put a
so are we
deposit on.
going to, we've got that 65 in there now, we just need a number. Are we gonna make that 20, are we gonna make it?
I would think we make it 20, that gives them the room. If
We've
they're
got room
estimating
to maybe
15,
do a
it gives us,
little bit
it gives us.
I'm even willing to go to 25, just to prove a point that we can get this switched over and working efficiently. I mean, I don't want to in any way compromise security.
Right.
I don't want, because we have a lot of valuable records here that we need to keep here and keep secure. So, I could go to 25 and we'll make sure that that covers the software changeover. It will ensure making some other accesses that aren't under the fob now under that system, and it will accomplish what we're trying to do, I hope.
Do we have a ballpark figure on what we just decided here we're gonna do?
Yeah, we were going down the list.
I've crossed my paper off so many times.
I'm not sure where we're going to start.
Okay, where we are right now is, for that list of capital we started with, we are at 864,000. So we started out,
We dropped 200,000 almost.
well, we dropped a little bit more than that. We started out at, $1,393,000, and we are down to 864. So we dropped about $500,000.
The only other project that was included on the larger sheets as a facility that I had forgotten to include in my budget request was the Seacliff Avenue outfall extension, where we had all the issues.
The pump,
Where the pump station is, to extend that outfall for 25,000,
how much?
25,000.
That needs to be included in there, because that is a
Exactly.
So that would actually get
perennial
pumped in.
problem that every time there's a storm, we have issues with it.
All right, that's 25.
Yes.
That's the thing in Strathmere that they have the issues with?
Strathmere pump?
Yes.
Yep.
And have we applied for the DEP permit to extend that pump further out? Isn't that what we had originally talked about?
We talked about, I gotta go get once the project's authorized, then I get authorization to proceed with the resolution.
All right, so, Barb, I guess so you and I are, kind of on the same page here. I've got 350 for 2 rear-load trash trucks.
Yes.
Right.
I got 23 for a Toro mower. There's 100,000 for a skid steer, 40K for a service truck, 24 for a Kubota RTV, 20.
Whatever it's called these days,
Whatever it is.
Leaves it open.
I would just put Kubota, because they were talking.
Yeah.
Okay, 21 for the replacement body on truck number 18. We didn't really specifically talk about that. There's no way we can patch it, weld it, send it to Biggs.
When there's nothing left.
It's gone.
Actually, well, a couple,
Okay,
Last on that plywood side.
yeah, it's got plywood bottom side
Yeah.
right now. Each side.
And the chassis is
Paint it
good,
yellow?
John.
well, at least the plywood won't rust.
Fairly changed there, so.
You got
May rot, but it won't
41K
rust.
for a leaf vac. You got 40 for an F-250. You got 40 for capital improvements to the building. We got 25K to upgrade our access control system. We have 25,000 for a pickup truck for the construction office. We have 135 for a dump truck.
And we
And
just
the
talked the
Seacliff
pump.
Avenue,
And then we added-
$25,000 for Seacliff
Well,
Avenue.
under engineering, what I did was I put the Strathmere pump for 25,000.
Okay, okay.
So that gives us, for the public works component, we're looking at 864, and that takes the engineering, now that, on the engineering, did we decide to leave the crossover pass in there, or did we take that out the last time?
We took that out.
We took that out, so the engineering went from 110, went from 116 to 135, so that is, capital for the bulkhead and for the pump system in Stratford.
Well, yeah, the bulk, right. But we did have that discussion about upgrading the playground prior to doing,
Correct,
Right.
but that was gonna come out of the operating, expenses.
The playground equipment is, I've reduced the number for the bulkhead and all to 95,000.
because we have 110 on our sheet.
If you go to the right, the column on the right.
Oh,
it
I
says
see, on the other
95,000.
side. Okay.
Paul, since you mentioned our playground,
Okay, gotcha.
in that budget for recreation for playgrounds, did we include the handicap swings and everything for all the playgrounds? Because right now, we only have one in the whole township. And I know they're a couple $100 a piece, we would look at an additional $2,000 or so.
I mean, it'll probably just come out of what we need.
What was that?
It'll probably just come out of what we need for recreation.
I just want to make sure that we have money earmarked for that, because we have to upgrade these playgrounds for handicap. Right now, the only one that has it is Codwell Park, and that's one swing. That's it. So, and I think the ones we looked at, Chris, were what, around $300 a seat? The high back
You were
ones?
gonna put on what was existing, it was right around, $300, we lost 2 swings. So there's some parts that we have, a couple swings in the game, you gotta get the whole apparatus.
Right.
So on Golden Oak, there's 2 baby swings, what I would call them, like a basket, and then 2 regular swings.
You lose
One of one.
today to one handicap. So you lose either both the baby seats or both the regular swings to one handicap swing.
Because of the distance in between them. The problem is, we don't have them, and I've had parents call me and ask me, why don't we have handicap?
The Golden Oak should have done right out the gate.
That's what, they just did that, like, you know, what?
When I went around and started checking the playgrounds and found out that we don't have them, I was shocked.
Parts that were handicap accessible, easier for handicap accessible, so they didn't change them all.
My understanding, I thought we were just doing Amanda, Caldwell, and Webster.
I think we need to do every playground we have.
We didn't budget, we didn't.
Well, you're not gonna have the room on Golden Oak, because that would eliminate, I mean, you got, there's young
Well,
kids that
then
they're using the
Just do what we
baskets
can do
and-
and make sure people understand, or that we have
Well,
certain playgrounds that are handicap
Well, here's what we can do.
accessible.
We can take care of our major parks. We can do Webster, or we can, because we're gonna be doing replacement of equipment anyway. We can do Mansfield, and we can do Caldwell.
Caldwell has
And we can
one.
put signs up
Yeah.
that say, for handicap accessible, these are the locations that we have these handicap.
I'm comfortable with that, I'm just not comfortable where it's
Does
at
that
right
make
now.
sense?
Is
Yeah.
that appropriate for ADA?
I think it's appropriate as long as we're providing it.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to do it for every.
And that would give us
pot.
one in each part of it.
I'm just asking, because we went through that at the beach, correct, Paul?
Under ADA, it's the number of play components that are at each facility. So all of our playgrounds are ADA compliant. Just because you have swings doesn't mean you have to have a number of ADA swings. They count the number of components that are at the facility. And as long as you have the total proper number ratio of ADA components at that facility and non-ADA, the total number, you're compliant. So Golden Oak is compliant with the ADA regulations. Even though it doesn't have an ADA swing, is still compliant with the ADA regulations. I'm not saying that we don't add some ADA swings, I'm just saying for compliance with the ADA regulations, all of our facilities are compliant with the ADA.
No, and that's why I suggest that we do our bigger parks,
Yeah.
and we can do Webster, because it's too far to go as an alternative.
Yeah.
That gives us
And then we can put signs up to say, the, whatever we call the swings, the ADA compliant swings, are available at Caldwell Park and at Amanda's Field.
Yeah, I mean, I've been asked about additional ADA equipment and things, and in a couple of the parks too. Because most of what we have is climbing at these parks, the swings, and they climb, they go up and down the slides. And in dealing with the Challenger program, there's a lot more equipment out there that we could do in one park or two parks to make it more conducive for the special needs children. I think we've missed a boat on it. When I talked about it, and I talked to Jeremy about it, and I was, it's something we have to stay on top of. And that should include access to those areas with walkways. If you have a kid in a wheelchair and you're pushing them through mud and slop to get to it, you can't get to it. There should be some kind of a hard surface when we pave that here or whatever, just some kind of a common walkway. It's, what good is a swing if you can't get to the park? I just think we've missed a boat, and we need, just like with some other things, we're addressing it, and I think we need to address it now to get caught up to where we should be.
I have no problem with what you're suggesting.
So just, make sure we have enough in there, that's all.
Well, is it something we need to put in capital, or can we take it out of operating? I mean, I don't know.
Talking
I'm
about-
operating.
If we're talking about adding, the swing at Webster and the swing at the other park, we're talking about two swings, we can.
No, 3 swings.
We already have one.
No,
Of the three
at
parks.
where?
How much
Where's
are
that?
these things?
Caldwell has one, that should have two.
350 a
Amanda
piece?
should have
come
two.
out of operating.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just, we can't keep minimizing it all the time.
Then we have to then we have to expand the park at Caldwell
You
Park.
don't have the room in Caldwell Park to expand that road.
So,
You can't put the swing, you can't
so,
put a
but
separate
we
swing
can,
set in there?
okay, so we have one at Caldwell. Why don't we put 4 at Amanda's Field then? Well, we were gonna put 2 and 2. You can't, does it make sense to put 3? I mean, it sounds like,
I think we need to do an inventory
Think you got
on where we have room, Chris,
Well, no,
and
Webster
where we
has
don't
that.
It's
have
got
room.
Webster on it.
no, yeah,
What's
that's.
feasible to add, if we have to add another structure in there to make it up, then that's what we gotta look at.
And it's also safety
Well,
surfacing and
but
fencing.
again, there's always,
You got nothing but room.
but there's also, we have that whole area outside of that.
Does it have to be,
Yes, we can.
what about
I know.
the surface?
Let's do an
You have to add
inventory of
additional
what and where we
surfacing,
can.
and, because there's more safety area, you have to have it all around the swing and the front and the back.
Yeah.
It has a whole safety zone.
Yeah.
And in some of the parks, if you're expanding it to, like Caldwell Park, you'd have to expand the perimeter of where the playground is to extend it. 'Cause it
But
doesn't
at least
fit.
we'll know, and if it's something we have to plan for, within the next 2 years or 5 years, we know we gotta extend that playground area to make it handicap accessible. And I'm pretty,
All right, so
I've dealt
let's,
with it on a personal basis, and it's not fun when you go out there and there's nothing there for your kid to play on. So,
Now, okay, when you're talking about the walkways, then what do you do once you get up to the malls?
That's ADA accessible.
So there, what, they could go.
no, what I'm saying is like, when you go from the parking lot, Mike, like at Amanda's Field, if that's muddy over there, you're not getting a wheelchair or anything to that. There should be a hard surface too, if we're gonna leave the mulch. That's one thing. You can pick your kid up and you can put them on a swing. I'm talking about accessibility. If we're gonna pave that out there, maybe we need to look at doing 1 or 2 walkways to the playground area while we're paving. Be the easiest way to do it. So, I just think we neglected it and we need to address it. I don't know the consensus here.
No,
Committee is, but-
I'm not opposed to offering some opportunities for some of our, children that need have special needs, so.
Yeah, just, and look at it this way too, we have 75 kids in the Challenger program at Amanda's Field. All different special needs. It's not like we're not gonna use it.
all right, well,
And
I
it
guess
keeps growing.
the question of the hour becomes, Is this something that we need to add to our capital budget to bond? Is this something that's of the nature that we can find the money to do this within our operating budget?
If it's adding 2 swings, we can do that within the operating budget. If it's adding swings and possibly adding them at multiple additional locations and adding additional accessibility, hard surfacing places, access areas, then we have to add stuff to the budget.
Okay, as far as the hard,
We have to add, we have to come up with funds to
Come up with a plan.
whether it's capital or whether it's, operating or.
as far as the hard surfacing goes, we have a paving project that hasn't gotten started yet out there. Is it possible to make some alterations in the paving and, stay within the same square footage and put some walkways or some pathways to the,
We can probably incorporate some access with the paving project.
so we wouldn't have to capitalize anything for that?
Correct.
Okay, so that's the one thing, the swings that would go there, we could find in the operating budget, at least for this year.
Absolutely.
So this way we can still do it. I'm just, again, I'm kind of taking the approach, what do we have to have in the number? If we need it in capital, of course, I think we all agree we would put it there, but if we don't have to, it's,
We can do that.
Toby, how far, what's the distance from
I
the
don't know,
parking lot?
maybe 100 feet,
100 feet?
About 100 feet.
if it's that much from Amanda's from the parking lot to the back playground or the front playground.
I don't think it's that.
Front playground, maybe
50,
feet on the park.
and then the back one is maybe 80.
Probably close to 100.
Ed made a suggestion, and he was just talking to me about it, make a good Eagle Scout project.
like a great Eagle Scout, right?
No problem. I mean, as far as making a hard surface.
Pavers,
The trouble with pavers is they pop up in the wintertime from the ice and everything else. I already have an Eagles project going on that's going to go out in front of Amanda's field. I don't know how conducive pavers are to a kid on crutches and that kind of stuff.
I don't know.
I know, myself, I trip on
Yeah, I don't know.
it.
I don't,
I think asphalt would be the way to go myself.
well, I'm sure you
So in
can
other words,
steal
what we're
enough.
getting at is
Steal enough out of it.
operation or capital.
Yeah, okay.
We could do it under operation, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So you know what, we can finish up at 8 if you want, or.
Yeah,
keep
I-
going.
There's just one more item.
Go ahead.
We kind of left it open from the last meeting. I did get some numbers from Jay on the ambulance lease. We're looking at, now Jay estimated $300,000 for a new ambulance. The lease numbers come in at a total cost of over $320,000.
So they're charging you $20,000 in interest so that we don't invest money at this
Right.
point.
And that's over a 5-year period, was it?
It is 5 years.
And what's your life expectancy on your squads?
He wants to do them for 5 years. What would that be per year? That would be,
About 60,000 a year,
Yeah.
62 or 63.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more economical to put it in a bond. And we get a lot, I mean, the interest rate is 2.67 here, but we're getting less than 1% when we go out for our bands. And depending on the useful life of the
Vehicle.
bond, it could be spread out over more years.
At the end of that 5, that's pretty much your chassis. The motor, the cab shot, the body can come off and go back on another.
Yeah, you can get away with that one time.
Yeah, but if you look at,
So we might get 10 years out of it.
if you're at 2.6, you got 300,000.
The 2.6 is the lease amount. We
Oh,
get-
it's the lease amount, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha, all right. Yeah, I was gonna say, you're over 20,000.
Right, well, that's where it's coming from.
It's coming from, okay.
So if we bonded it, we would get, say, 1.5 at the most, maybe a little less.
So you'd probably be half that or less.
Jay, when does this drop dead? Is it next year?
It's a 2012 currently,
Okay, so 5 years would be 2017?
I'm sorry, it's 20, to 2004, or 2010.
2010.
Got 167,000 miles old. Did a repair last week for $6,000.
So you've already got 6 years out of it, roughly.
It takes a year to build it.
It takes a year to build it.
Yeah, what I'm just thinking is, could we save it for next year? To order it, but save it for next year. Well, I guess we can't order it unless we have the money and appropriated, that's right, I forgot about that.
Problem with the bond, and then go to bid,
Yeah,
say you gotta build it.
yeah. And it's gonna take a while to get the bond approved.
Well, we're not
We don't.
We're not
I mean, we
paying
don't
for
pay
anything,
for
as
it.
long
Yeah,
as
pay
we
for
don't
it till
use,
then.
we're not allocating any interest or anything
Yeah.
for any funds that we're not using, so
Yeah,
probably is, you know, looking at the difference, it might be more economical to do it that way. I mean, the idea of, I think leasing has a purpose, and I think we really need to research that more. We haven't done that, but I think that affords us opportunities, and when it comes from more for like a fleet replacement, like 3 or 4 trucks or something, you know, I think that's when the leasing may be of value to the township to look at. And, you know, I mean, I don't think we should shy away from that. I think we should continue to pursue that and look at what's available. Maybe in this particular case, it didn't work, or it may not work, but it would have worked if this was next year and we, you know, we may not have another bond next year. I mean, we can't keep doing bonds, it's crazy. You know, maybe that's the alternative that we have that's out there as well.
If we bonded for the additional 300, it still does not necessarily have to be 2016 capital, it could be 2017 capital, but we've
Yeah.
already got the bond approved and in place. So if we were to, you know, engage in solicitation of bids, get our purchase order out, you know, get our purchase order out in the fourth quarter of the year, expecting the delivery of the vehicle in 2017, we'd be looking at 2017 capital. We wouldn't be looking at.
yeah, exactly.
You can't do without the rescue squad.
No,
They need the tools to do their job.
no, I mean, listen, the rescue squad have numerous calls, you know, I mean, it is something that we provide, and again, it's for the safety of our residents, so.
I can get this list cleaned up for you for the next meeting.
I think we'll have to go out and sell roses.
See the numbers.
Well, I guess,
So we've completed the workshop.
yes.
We can then, I mean, and, you know, we'll have Barbara clean it up. If you want, we can, put it on the agenda for the next meeting and just do a review, because, and then the following meeting, and by the way, the meetings in March are different because of Easter, falling in there, right? And from what correct me if I'm wrong, Joanne, but it's the 7th and 21st, right?
Yeah.
So we have a meeting next Monday, and then we would launch the budget on the 21st of March,
Correct.
because normally it would be the 14th and 28th.
So we could, on Monday, we could review.
I could put it on the agenda, and, you know, instead of having a workshop at 7 o'clock, I mean, we can do that too.
I don't think we need another one. I mean, you know, the only thing we could, that I was gonna mention tonight to finish up is that, the changes in the operating budget that, you know, we've talked about and discussed.
I've given you all updated sheets tonight for those changes.
Barbara's
these,
taking
right?
care of that. I've reviewed it. You know, we are looking at a 2-cent increase. Kind of where we thought we came out. I mean, you know, we had to put some in, we had to take some out, and the net effect is the 2 cents.
And almost 1% of this is accountable towards health insurance, right? We had an $110,000 increase.
I don't, it doesn't account to 1%.
No?
No, it's not 1%, but it's almost.
It's a
penny.
significant
It's-
amount
yeah.
towards this.
Yes.
It's Probably 3/4 of a cent, something like that.
What's that?
I'm telling you, top of my head. something
No, it's just high
along
blood
these lines.
pressure.
I'll be, yeah, me too.
No.
Something's awful hot, okay, besides Rich.
So then with that, we'll, next week's meeting, we review
Give
it.
her switch.
We can vote on the bond on the 7th. We can approve the budget.
No.
No, we have to go
You're
through.
gonna have to review it, and then it's gonna have to go to bond council.
Okay.
They're going to have to prepare, bond council has to prepare the bond ordinance.
Okay.
Probably for the 21st, if,
So the same night we roll the budget out? Okay.
I mean, I'll have to get with bond council, but they should be able to turn it over in 2 weeks if we get the okay from you guys at the next meeting, and then hopefully for the 21st, if, at the latest, it would be the first meeting in April.
So we'll
to
put on the
introduce bond.
agenda for the next Monday's meeting, budget update. We'll just
Okay.
put it that,
All
under
right,
new
so we're not gonna
business.
have a workshop, it's just gonna be,
No,
okay.
we'll put it on the new business and we'll just review, and finalize and make sure everybody's up to speed. And then we'll introduce the budget the following meeting. And then it obviously has to wait like 30 days, right?
28 days,
Yeah.
yes. So we won't be able to adopt the budget until I think it's the
April.
25th of April.
Second meeting.
It would be the fourth,
The
Monday.
fourth Monday in April, which is the 25th. And that meets our requirements
Yes, it
of where
does.
we need to be?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
And I've already gone over everything tentatively with Leon, so he's good with this.
So, and we'll ask to have Mr. Costello here for that.
Yes. He has it on his calendar
Okay.
tentatively.
All right, unless there's any other discussion, I'd say that we can adjourn. It's 8 o'clock. So if someone wants to make a motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second?
would you call the roll, Joanne?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Coggins?
Yes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mayor Coulter?
Yes.
Okay.
Meeting's adjourned.
Yeah.
It's gonna have to be
Anybody,
charged
just real
by
quick,
60.
it doesn't nothing to do with the budget,
It's
but
only Monday.
I'm looking for volunteers for Easter egg hunt,
Okay.
to work it, and also to help us stuff 18,000 eggs.